Each weekend, I send out my best, most inspiring, and useful content in the Cool Cat Teacher newsletter. Sign up at coolcatteacher.com/newsletter. Thanks. 5 Ways to Teach with Art, episode 450.
The 10-Minute Teacher Podcast with Vicki Davis. Every weekday, you'll learn powerful, practical ways to be a more remarkable teacher today.
Today, we are talking with teacher Nicola Giardina from New York City. She's also author of The More We Look, the Deeper It Gets, Transforming the Curriculum Through Art. So, Nicola, you have 6 ways to enhance our teaching with works of art. What is your first way? What do you recommend we do?
First, I wanted to begin with the why, and why I think this is so important for students and teachers to do. And I've found through my research at the Metropolitan Museum of Art that looking at works of art in the classroom really supports critical thinking skills, and there's a wealth of research to support that. It also supports students' social emotional learning. They're learning from each other. They're expressing their own ideas about art. It's a way to support relevance and making personal connections to your curriculum with students, because there's so many ways for us to connect with art, and it brings alive our stories. And it also supports diverse learning styles. So you can have students with all kinds of strengths that they're bringing to the table, and art can just really incite that and bring that alive in your classroom. So I've seen the power of this method, and I really believe in it. So I'm super excited to share some ideas for how you can incorporate this to really spark engagement in your classroom.
Awesome. And I totally agree with you about art. I had a second grade teacher who brought in great works of art she checked out from the library, and I just loved that class just because it was almost like it's a different part of the brain or something.
Absolutely. And I see that all the time when I go into classrooms. It's the novelty of just having something visual that you can connect to. And it's really a way of supporting the whole child.
So where do we start, Nicola?
So art really tells the story of human history. And so there's no topic in school that can't be supported by works of art. So it's starting there. But first, really finding the works of art that you want to teach from is the first step. And I recommend getting to know museum websites. So metmuseum.org, which is the Metropolitan Museum of Art's website, is a great place to start. They have thousands and thousands of works of art, high quality images that you can download. And if you have a smartboard, you can put them up. So that's a place that I would begin because it's from all parts of the world. So start to look through their collection and see what sparks your interest, what connects to your curriculum, and what connects to your students' lives. Those are really the 3 things that I look for in a work of art. And another way is to start to gather a collection of art postcards, and there are lots of simple ways to use those in the classroom, even by having students choose a work of art that they connect to and talk with a partner about how they connect to that work of art.
Wow. So you're just pulling these out and using them as a resource, and the kids can kind of examine them more closely. It's not just putting it up on your board.
Absolutely. This is such a method that supports all kinds of creative thinking, right? Having students even choose a work of art that they connect to, or choose a work of art that connects to a topic that you're exploring in your classroom. And then you're really making that connection between the students' lives, their interests, and the curriculum. So I really see art as a bridge that can make some pretty powerful connections there.
Excellent. Okay, what's our third?
Okay. Oh, well, that was just the first.
Oh, that was just the first. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Well, we need to go with our second.
So thinking thematically. So thinking about your curriculum in terms of big themes is really going to support connections to works of art. So for example, if you're teaching ELA, if you're teaching from a work of literature, using works of art to illuminate a theme that students can relate to. So for example, a middle school teacher I worked with used the theme of friend or foe to support her students learning about about Of Mice and Men when they were reading that book. And she showed her class portraits in which the artist and the subject had an interesting or contentious relationship. And then what we found that really exploring that theme visually through the paintings really helped her students understand that theme in the literature. So trying to think about your teaching in a broader sense and then finding works of art that connect to that theme.
Oh, that's great. And that's helping kids recognize it in a non-word way. So you're going to connect with some different kids who may struggle with reading. That's awesome. Okay, what's our third?
Okay, so using art as a springboard for discussion. So there are lots of simple ways that you can do this, even by beginning class. So when students come into the room, you have an artwork that relates to a topic of study on the smartboard or at students' tables, and you just give them a question to discuss with their partner in small groups, just like, what do you notice? Or using a thinking routine, like, I see, I think, I wonder.
Oh, fun. Okay, what's our fourth?
Using multisensory ways of engagement. So when students are looking at a painting, having them pose like the figures in a painting or a sculpture, or using speech bubbles to imagine what the figures are thinking or saying. So this is a way to really activate their kinesthetic learning. You can also have students sketch from a work of art. So just activating different parts of the brain and different parts of their body to get them making those connections.
Awesome. And multisensory is incredible in every subject that we teach. Okay, what's our fifth?
Expanding learning beyond the classroom. So I know this can be easier or more challenging, but whenever possible, get students to a museum, a gallery. If that's not possible, engaging with local artists. I've found that artists love the opportunity to come into a classroom and show their work and talk about what they're doing. It's exciting for them, and it's super exciting for the students. So just thinking about expanding the walls with art, or even bringing in a three-dimensional object that you found while traveling or visiting a museum, even bringing those things into the classroom for students to touch and feel is just another way to bring learning to life.
So what's our sixth bonus idea?
Okay, the bonus idea is really just a word of wisdom, which is I don't want you to feel like you need to be an art historian or some kind of expert to engage with art. I want teachers to feel free to use art as an opportunity to experiment and play and really awaken your own creativity. So start with yourself and find works of art that spark interest and your own curiosity. And that's just going to be contagious with your students.
That's awesome. I know at our school, we're actually teaching an art geography course, and we've combined learning about art with geography, and the kids love it. It's such a fantastic way to teach. So art is just such a powerful medium to use, both creating it, but also studying with it. So thank you, Nicola.
It's my pleasure.
Did you know that every week I share some inspiring thoughts that I don't share anywhere else, just in the Cool Cat Teacher newsletter? So I hope you'll check it out and tell your friends to subscribe at coolcatteacher.com/newsletter. And of course, it's free.
Thank you for listening to the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast. You can download the show notes and see the archive at coolcatteacher.com/podcast. Never stop learning.